Yes, hello everyone, Cúilín Media. Welcome back to another weekend review show coming to you at a slightly later date and time. Usually we run them, of course, live on Sunday evening at 8 p.m. But none of us were around yesterday, unfortunately. We apologise, but we're here on Monday evening, which is on the bank holiday Monday, live at 8 p.m. to run through all of the weekend's action across all four codes. We had, of course, the final round of action in round one of the All-Ireland Football Championships. We had the hurling finals for the Christy Ring, Nickey Rackard and Lory Meagher Cups. We had round two of the All-Ireland Camogie Championships and round one of the Intermediate and Junior LGFA Championships as well. Joined by a full house, of course, Aaron Prendergast is on the way as well. Joined by Liam White, Matthew Hurley, and of course, special guest Grace Cullen joining us. Grace, you're with us for the weekend preview show. You're back with us now after a very, very happy weekend for Louth. And just before I come to you, big shout out as well to ATAC Sports, who are, of course, our championship coverage partners for 2026. Big shout out to them. If you need any sports gear, check them out across their website and socials. Grace, good to have you back with us. It's a good time, as Peter says here. First time since 1973 that the weekend you've beaten the Dubs in championship football, and you were there.
I was, and the smile on my face hasn't left since I left Croke Park yesterday. It was absolutely class. It was just such a memorable day. I can't believe I'm just so glad it was such a good game as well. As I say in the preview show, like I was just really hoping for a really good game, and we got that, and Louth got the result, which was just even better. So it was class. But thank you so much for having me on the double whammy this week. But yeah, very, very happy Louth girl today, most definitely.
Absolutely. I'm just seeing here, apparently there's a big photo of me in the GA Museum. I'm going to have to ask some questions. I used to work there, of course, but I'll have to ask my old boss what the story is. Aaron Prendergast joins us as well. Aaron, I was just asking Grace there. Of course, Grace joined us for the preview show, back for the review. Not exactly a happy weekend for us, although the clip of you trying to play the Gaelic Football Laker game did make me laugh at least.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and good to meet you, Grace. I wish it was under better circumstances when Dublin had maybe beaten Louth like they usually would for the last 50 years or so. But yeah, like all in all, like yeah, a disappointing weekend obviously as a Dublin supporter and everything else. But Louth were by far the better side. There's no getting away from in the second half. They were far better. I think for Dublin there definitely is like a lot of soul searching really in terms of what way we're set up, what way we're coached. Definitely not having Ger Brennan on the sideline looks to be having a big impact, I think, on the team. And yeah, you've seen that, because I feel like every time we get put under a bit of pressure or anything like that, we do tend to crumble. And that's what happened in the second half, really, when Louth went after us. We didn't have an answer for it at all. But yeah, good to be back on, lads.
Absolutely. So we've seen one of the comments in there as well, guys. We appreciate all the live chats coming in. If you have any opinion on the weekend or any action that took place, do fire them into the live chat. Liam, one of the live comments in there, of course, you have to mention before we get into the game, Aidan O'Shea making his 100th championship appearance. That's absolutely sensational stuff. When you're talking legends, like the longevity of that guy. And I've seen a stat as well, if he makes it to 2030, which you wouldn't bet against him, he would have played in 4 different decades, which is mental.
Insane.
For GA terms, that's absolutely sensational, considering the commitment you have to give to this sport. It's an amateur sport. They've jobs, they've lives outside of this. To give that sort of commitment is absolutely incredible. And as well, like for John, you can look at it from, say, both angles. You could look at it, say, from like a Conor Callaghan example or a TJ Reid example, where they're still continuing on, even though they've essentially won everything that there is to win in the game. And maybe there is that drive to end it on a real high, and to have one last sort of Michael Jordan dance. Or you look at it from an Aidan O'Shea type point of view, where he's been so close so many times to winning that All-Ireland, and unfortunately for him, hasn't been able to achieve that so far, but is still committed to the game and still wants to go out and put on a Mayo jersey. It's fantastic to see. And listen, he's probably in the best shape of his life, to be honest with you, to be fair to him. And I still think he's doing a good job for Mayo at this stage as well, in a full forward. And yeah, it's a fantastic achievement for him, obviously added on top of the fact that Mayo got the job done, I will say, against Monaghan. They were cruising for a long time before they nearly did a very Mayo thing and nearly threw it away. But no, fantastic for him. Congrats to him. And yeah, I've no doubt that Whether he'll stay to 2030, I'm not sure, but he'll definitely stay on for another year or two, I'd imagine. And yeah, I still think he's got a good bit left in the tank, and he could break Stephen Cluxton's appearance record. We'll have to wait and see. What's he, about 30 left to break, or 29, something like that? So yeah, be interesting to see if he does do it.
Funny stat, when Aidan O'Shea made his debut, Instagram and TikTok both didn't exist. So, I mean, if you're talking about how long he's been playing, that's how long he's been playing. Matthew, we have here Daniel Daly saying Kerry versus Dubs in Killarney. Fingers crossed. Absolutely fucking not. I don't have my fingers crossed for that. Matthew, what stood out to you this weekend?
Just on that comment, you know my pain going out to Killarney every single year. So yeah, you know, it's not nice, I would say. But from a Dublin point of view, no, it isn't a great weekend for you lads, in fairness. Look at that score, and obviously the Westmeath game as well. Your Croke Park record isn't great either, because I was thinking, like, I know we'll probably bring up the draw later. Either way, if you draw Kerry home or away, it's not really good, is it? So it's Meath as well. Like, it is a lot of sharks in the tank, so it's going to be difficult for Dublin in the next round. But yeah, a lot of action this weekend. Really good to see, obviously, the Christy Ring, Nickey Rackard and Lory Meagher winners over the weekend. And congrats as well to Clare and Kerry collecting the other 20 crowns this weekend as well. So yeah, a lot of action to get into.
Brendan here saying I'm sick of us coming down to play against Kerry. We'll see. Well, hopefully, maybe it could have been a situation where maybe Kerry would wake us up and we can play our best level of football that we're capable of. But I think it's one thing that is key to note. Aaron, when we were talking about the Leinster Championship in the 2010s and how there wasn't that competition, I think it was a combination of two things we were talking about. That Dublin got much better and everyone else around got worse. I think the same thing has happened in reverse now. I think we've gotten worse. And I think Louth, Meath, Westmeath have all gotten significantly better in the last 5 years. And I think that's a big, big reason why we're seeing the reversal of fortunes that we are seeing now, because yeah, we've lost to two Leinster teams now in one championship. Grace, I'm going to come to you first for this for obvious reasons. Louth 418, Dublin 124 in Croke Park. Louth hit 4 goals, 2 from James Maguire, and of course the final one coming from Craig Lennon to get the first win over Dublin since 1973. Sensational day in Croker.
Oh, sensational is not even the word. Like, it was just amazing. Like, and I think with the smallest crowd that we've had, it could be a biggest crowd for us, but I think in Croke Park, everyone was saying how miserable the crowd looked. But my God, like, the people that were there, the Loud people especially, were the ones that are the diehard, the Loud fans. Like, we had a massive crowd in Portlaoise a couple of weeks ago when everyone thought that we were going to beat the Dubs. Half of them didn't even travel to Croke Park on Sunday, and to be able to pull that result out of the bag in Croke Park, in Dublin's back garden, and in such a unreal way and such a big scoreline. It was just class, and I'm just absolutely delighted for the lads after the crap that they got from Portlaoise and saying that, you know, we were better than we were, we thought we were better than we were, to go out and get that result. I just think it was just brilliant. Like, I mean, like, at 5 minutes to go was a draw game, and I was like literally lose my marbles. I was like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? How am I going to last the next 5 minutes? Like, it was such an exciting game, and the lads really pulled out the bag after a really poor first half. Like, I was just thinking going in half time. Now, the only thing I will say is caveat, I do really like when Louth are down at half time. It's something that I feel when we're down at half time, I just think the team talk, or how the lads can pull themselves out when you're 6 points down, 5 points down, unless swap it. If you're 5 or 6 points up, the team talk and the aggression in the dressing room, polar opposites. And I feel like that was the difference in us yesterday, having that really, we were in that deficit at half time, was definitely the difference for our lads, 100%. But it was sensational. It was an amazing day.
Can I go back to you though? Obviously, being in the stadium, there was huge moments. Like, of course, the 2 goals back to back from Maguire, the goal as well from Craig Lennon going down the home stretch, the catch at the end from Kieran Byrne, and then Paul Matthew's point. What was the standout moment for you in the win?
Oh, I definitely think it was Craig Lennon's goal. Now, well, no, wait, I'm going to say the second goal from James Maguire. Like, I don't think there has been a game that Louth have won 2 goals, or Louth have scored 2 goals that quickly on the bounce ever, and especially in Croke Park. And when Darren Alley sent that ball, that kick pass from middle of the field right into James Maguire, I actually thought he lost it, and then he kind of rolled on the ground a bit and got up. And then when he put it away, I was like, the whole place erupted. It was like in bloody sane. And then the next thing was the next goal went in with Conor Grimes kicked the ball and it kind of lobbed in the air for a minute. And just for him, just the reading of the game, it was just, that was a turning point where I think everyone around me, I was around a lot of dubs, but everyone around us was realised, oh my God, like we're way back in this. Like that was a massive, massive turning point. And I think just, it was just, you could just see the lads. Like I feel like even in like, you're looking at the lads and watching them, I haven't missed a game this year. You're like, I just knew in the pep in their step on that ground when the next kick out came out, they were ready. They were like, we have this. Like we've got this. And for James Maguire, who's, you know, a very new player, he's very young, like he hasn't really started many games, like he's only kind of come into the pan in the last year or so. For him to get them 2 goals, for him to have the confidence, to drive the confidence on with everybody else, it was absolutely class. But I think for me, when Kieran Downey went to do the 2-pointer, I thought, oh my God, that's like I thought it was over. And then like reaction in my TikTok video, I was just so like shocked it didn't go over. And the next thing was Craig Lennon had in the back of the net. Oh, it was just class. There's too many moments to mention, but I definitely think the double goal and then Craig Lennon's put away. Like he didn't even, and I watched it back last night, he didn't even look at the goal. He literally got the ball, he turned around and just kicked it, and he wasn't even looking at the goal, which I think even looking back is just class. But that was definitely unbelievable. Like all the live people were on the like literally out of their seats waiting because there was only like a couple of minutes left to go whenever he put that through. But it was class. It was so good. Yeah.
The flip side of that though, Aaron, is the second goal, especially that Maguire got, and the fourth goal that came from Craig Lennon. My first reaction looking at it is, God, they're awful soft goals to concede. Like we didn't used to concede those types.
Yeah, like it's actually the 4th goal. So 4 goals that we've conceded in the championship this year have all been those type of goals. So they've all been balls that have been lofted in on top of the goalkeeper or hitting the post and dropping down. Like our goalkeeping issue seems to be a big problem at the moment. Like we all thought during the league that Hugh O'Sullivan was the right man. He had a very solid league campaign, I felt. Definitely had an off day yesterday. It was definitely the right decision to bring him in ahead of Evan Comerford, because Comerford has made those mistakes and errors all season, obviously, as well. So yeah, very disappointing. I can't remember even in previous years, even when Comerford was there and previous goalkeepers, us making these type of errors. We've obviously had a big change in defence as well. Like obviously Owen Merchant isn't there. You know, the big kind of characters like Mick Fitzsimons and everything else have all left. So it just feels like it's open season really for us defensively. Like Westmeath bullied us at times. They scored 2 goals. They probably should have scored more. What's disappointing is that in Portlaoise, I actually thought our defence did really well. Like we really did really well on Samuel Roy. We marked him out of the game. We were overturning the ball. We were aggressive in our tackling and everything else. Whereas yesterday, it was just the space. Like even for James Maguire as well, like his second goal, like he's so much time and space. Like he goes for the goal, but he probably could have carried the ball a couple more yards. He could have set up, you know, like a hand pass for a goal or something like that. So yeah, defensively, just really, really all over the place, which is disappointing. Like going the other way, we're actually still very good. I mean, to score a goal and 24 points, you know, like it's still pretty decent in my opinion in Croke Park. Yeah. But it's just going the other way, and it's those defensive lapses that have really cost us, I think.
Absolutely. We have a question that I suppose we can apply to everybody here. Matthew, I'll come to you for this one as well. We have it here. Gavin here saying, Seamus and Aaron, who would you like Dublin to get or avoid tomorrow? Obviously, our options, we can get Kerry. Can we get Meath?
We can get Meath. I'd take Meath. I'd take a chance on Meath just because if we beat them and knock them out, I mean, that'd be absolute carnage.
Yeah, that's
probably won't happen
there. So
for that.
I would take, honest to God, I would take anyone but Kerry.
Really?
Maybe stay away from Roscommon as well, actually.
Derry?
Derry,
no, I'd fancy us against Derry.
Really?
Yeah, I would. Should Derry, were you impressed with Derry against Armagh?
No, but I was impressed with them during the league and against Monaghan for large parts. I don't know. If you go away to Derry, I think.
Go away to Derry,
yeah. Matthew, who would you fancy for Cork?
Yeah, what I will say for Derry before I get out to Cork, since that Cork game in the league, they've been on a downward spiral in terms of form. They've only won 2 games. They've won against Antrim and they've won against Cavan. Like they lost 3 games. They lost against Louth, they lost against Monaghan, and they've also lost against Armagh now, and they weren't impressive the other night. So they haven't been on good form. So I think you'd fancy your chances against Derry. To be honest, especially I know Croke Park doesn't seem to be a happy hunting ground for Dublin this year. But yeah, I think you definitely fancy Derry. As for Cork, there, to be honest with you lads, I know Armagh, Donegal are in the pot, but I'd fancy us against anybody at home. Be honest with you. In Parky Rin, it's a raucous atmosphere. Having said that, like Donegal, Armagh, you want to avoid them. Certainly, I don't want to go to Louth away. I'll be honest with you, because I'm not going to RT or Inniskeen again. I'll put it that way. But yeah, it is difficult places to go. Westmeath is a difficult place to go as well. Home draw. I think home draw is the main thing. I think that's probably the main thing out of everybody in the draw, to be honest.
Yeah. Watch now. It'll be Dublin Kerry and it'll get put on GA Plus. That's my prediction. Whole debate after that.
It must be great.
Liam, can I go to you next? What was your thoughts on this game?
Well, it's great for a lot of you saying who we get, and I'm just sitting here awkwardly in the tall cup. But
you could end up with silverware at the end of this. That is very possible.
Might be joining you soon the way things are going.
Do you know what? If we get an Offaly Dublin Tailteann Cup final, but an Offaly Dublin Leinster Hurling final next year, I think we take that happily at this stage. What was the question again?
Tipperary, John McDonough final as well.
Fair. Could happen. What was the question again, Jim? Sorry.
I was saying just Dublin now. What did you make of the game?
Yeah, I thought Dublin were very good in the first half. I was a small bit worried for Louth at half time, just considering what did happen in Portlaoise before. And obviously Louth's record against Dublin. There's always that one team that every team has that they just can never seem to get over. And I was a small bit worried for Louth at half time, considering they were 6 points down. I thought Dublin were playing good football. But then in the second half, I have to give it to Louth. They came out absolutely on fire. And to score 4 goals against Dublin, like compared to last day, they got 10 points over the 70 minutes, and then they score 4-18 this time round is a tremendous, turnaround. To be honest with you, to win the game late on as well. The goal from I'm a huge Craig Lennon fan. I think he's a fabulous footballer. He's getting your 3-4 points a game. He's getting cracking. I mean, he's making it a habit of scoring a goal in the Hill as well after last year's goal against Meath and the one there yesterday as well. I think Louth needed this victory very badly as well, just considering a lot of people, and I include myself now, we're predicting Louth and Meath to be in the Leinster final this year. And considering just how poor they were against Dublin the last day, I think they badly needed the result here, and just to prove that they can get that monkey off their back. And going forward now for Louth, like the world's their oyster, to be honest. They won the Leinster title last year. They had a very good run in the league as well, picked up some very, very crucial wins too. Listen, I don't think any team would even fancy going. They wouldn't fancy going to Louth, but I don't think I'd imagine a lot of teams wouldn't fancy hosting them either, to be honest with you. The likes of Grimes, the likes of Donald, the likes of Lennon, Mulroy, they're top class footballers and they can destroy any team on any given day. And they've proven it now, getting 4 goals against Dublin in Croke Park, not an easy thing to do. I think Louth are on a good run for Dublin. Yeah, look, for me, I think whoever you get in the next round, it is going to be tough. Kind of saying it before we came on air as well. I don't know if Croke Park is the place. Now, I understand that obviously there was still 16,000 there. If you go to Parnell Park, then that's what 7,000 less people would be able to get to it. But I just think from an atmospheric point of view and everything like that, I think Dublin need to go back playing their games in Parnell Park. To be honest with you, I don't think that's going to happen. To be honest, just because Dublin have made.
I hope they do. I really hope they do.
Yeah,
I know you're the same.
Yeah, definitely for a few of the Division 2 games. I think maybe the bigger games, like say I suppose we're probably going to play Louth away next year, given we played them in Croke Park, I think the last time. So, but even like Dublin Derry, that could be in Croke Park. Do you know what I mean? It kind of depends on the fan bases, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, I agree. Sorry, Liam, was there anything else you want to say?
No, just that for Dublin, I think whoever you get in the next round is going to be extremely tough. Look, I do get Matthew's point. Derry have been on a bit of a downward spiral since that win over Cork in the league. But at the same time, I still think Derry are a top class side. I still think they have top class forwards. Okay, they were poor against Armagh. I didn't think the Armagh. Well, I wasn't watching it. I was watching Gabriel's ball land on Mars. To be honest with you, no, I'm not over it. Listen, from what I heard, it wasn't a great game and Derry weren't at the races, but I would still probably back Derry to beat Dublin at this moment in time, just given, I think, how poor Dublin have been this season. And especially if it was in Croke Park. I mean, Dublin, they've only won 1 game in Croke Park this year, wasn't it, against Monaghan? Do you know what I mean, in the league? So I would worry from that perspective. I think avoid the likes of Kerry at all costs, especially with how pissed off they'd be after losing that game against Donegal. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what the draw is like tomorrow morning.
Absolutely. So I'll be tuning in. I'll be on the way to work. So we'll actually have the headphones on for it this time. Grace, the last comment in here for you. Peter here saying, Grace, what would you say was the most significant change Horse implemented from the Portlaoise game to yesterday? And then if you could wrap it up just by saying how much this win means as we leave this game.
So I would have said after Portlaoise, I would have said that the 5 changes before the game, I'm going to say a mistake, but it was risky. And probably because we lost, didn't pay off. I think it was a full team thing that when you say there, Aaron, in your comments, like, genuinely, we didn't show up. Like, it's mad because being there in Portlaoise, you're looking at the team, you're like, I knew yesterday that the lads weren't like that in Croke Park. I think the main thing is Gavin he's just unbelievable. And I know a lot of people, I don't know if any of you have ever been to any of his talks or have been in his company. Like, he would literally make you put on a pair of boots and a jersey and go out there and fight for like it's just the way he speaks and the passion he has and how he's just unbelievable. So I think the hurt from Portlaoise to go into Croke Park yesterday I think I'm still on the confidence thing. He instilled so much confidence in them lads to be like, that wasn't you that showed up in Portlaoise, but you have a chance to get over the horse and get over the hurt of what happened in Portlaoise, and you can do it. And I think for me, starting the players that you mightn't have expected to play and then having that experience come off the bench, I think that was crucial yesterday. I think a lot of people think you start with your experienced players and you get the fresh legs off the pitch. I've seen yesterday that the opposite actually works, because I think a good thing for Louth is, and especially in the new game, not just for Louth, you have to watch how the other teams show up. So your analysis team and the supporters and the management team, you have to watch how they're doing their kickouts, how they're laying out, what players are standing out, what players are lining out where. So to give that first half that option to look at it, analyse and go in at half time and be like, right, this is wrong, this is right. So I think for me, making them changes for the younger players to come in and then having your bench to come on at half time or just into the second half was massive, absolutely massive for Louth yesterday. And I just think it's they all rallied together and they were just it was a super team performance. And even with Sam, like, he got really badly injured in the Dublin game, and you could even tell yesterday he wasn't 100%, he wasn't playing at 100%. But even for him just to know, I want to stay in this pitch and I'm the captain, I'm going to stay here, I'm going to play, for the lads to come rally around him and for it to be such a team effort, I think that was the whole difference yesterday.
Absolutely. So well said. Well, Grace, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on with us again.
Thanks so much, guys.
Enjoy the holidays.
Thank you. Best luck in the draw. I hope you get Derry away. Okay, I'm joking. Thanks, guys. Thanks so much. Bye.
Thank you.
Perfect. A big shout out to Grace Cullen. If you don't follow her on her socials, go give her a follow there. Fantastic content around the GA and jumping on with us again. We appreciate it very much. We're going to move on to our next game now, but just want to highlight this comment from Jordan Cairns. He said, I also want to say hello to all and special mention that your podcasts and videos are amazing, and I would love to talk with you all. Thanks a million, Jordan. It's great to have you with us and great to have your opinions in on the game as well. And everybody that is commenting, we really, really appreciate it. If you could drop a like, subscribe, share the video, everything like that, it really, really helps us to push these videos onto the next level. Speaking of next, we're moving to the next game, and this one was a little bit different. Monaghan versus Mayo in St. Tinoch's Park in Clonus, and this was the true definition of a game of two halves. This game truly was the definition of a game of two halves. Mayo dominated this game in the first half. They're ahead at half-time by 117 to 9 points. Colby McDonald gets a goal. Kobe, Jack Carney, Ryan O'Donoghue all kicked unbelievable two-pointers, and Mayo looked like they were going to run away with it. In the second half, Monaghan absolutely roared back into the contest. Even though Mayo got over the line, I feel like Andy Moran still has things that he won't be delighted with at all from that Mayo performance that they allowed Monaghan back into it. He will be happy that they hung on. But Matthew, still definitely some nits to pick there.
Especially with the fact that Monaghan kind of will feel hard done by not getting a result out of this one. Obviously, one thing out of their control, and before even going to the analysis of the game, best wishes to Bobby McCall after that horrific looking injury. Hopefully he does recover sooner rather than later, because that's the next point I'll go on. His impact for Monaghan yesterday was absolutely superb. Coming onto the pitch, getting 1-1. He should have got 1-2. That was a point. I don't know how the umpire. Well, the umpires. Well, it's,
here we go. You've answered the question.
But how the linesman and how the referee don't notice that, I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. And Mayo, while they have quality and they recovered well to an extent after that game against Roscommon, they were very, very lucky to get out with the win. Monaghan definitely roared back into contention. The goal by Bobby McCall, a lot of people talk about, obviously we'll get on to the Armagh game in a sec, but Tiernan Kelly's goal for Armagh or Brian O'Driscoll's goal in the Munster final. For me, that Bobby McCall goal is goal this season so far. I think the kick passing in that finish, Rory Beggan, straight out to the Monaghan player, kick pass into Bobby McCall and into the back of the net. It took 2 kick passes and it ends up in the net. It's absolutely brilliant. And yeah, it's a superb finish. Stephen Mooney's wasn't the bad goal either. Superb taking on the Mayo defence as well. And at that stage, and to be honest, they needed good shots because Jack Livingston in the Mayo goal was almost like Thibaut Courtois in the Champions League final a few years ago. Absolutely superb in this game. And I think that was his championship debut as well. It was an incredible performance by him. So Mayo definitely have a goalkeeper in the long grass there, obviously with Robbie Henley not available at the moment. But I have to say Kobe McDonald in the first half was superb, 1-4 from play. Amazing that he's doing his leaving cert on Wednesday, which is incredible. Best of luck to Kobe in that. And Ryan O'Donoghue, who had a very good game. I think Jack Carney, Jordan Flynn. And we talked about Mayo having the lack of 2-point threat last year. That was the thing that got them the win more or less in this one. They rose ahead in the first half, getting the 2-pointers, especially the one right at the buzzer. I think it was Ryan O'Donoghue that kicked it to make it 117 to 9 points. And eventually that was enough for Mayo slightly to get over the line. And especially with the fact that Monaghan had about, I didn't do stats in the game, no, I was at a club game yesterday, but I seen on RT that I think Monaghan had about 39, 40 shots of the game. Mayo had 29. That's something that he's concerned for Mayo, considering Monaghan had more shots than them, considering Mayo were way more ahead in the first half as well. Gabriel Balaguer did notice in the post-match interview that Monaghan missed a few chances in the opening spell. So look, that is something that Monaghan need to fix, but they're never dead. They're never dead. It's a superb performance by Monaghan, in fairness, to drag themselves back into it. And definitely, they should have got more out of the game than they did.
Absolutely. So we have a nice bit of banter here in the chat. Sean O'Malley here, proud Mayo man, saying Kobe used to spit an image of his father, pray he never leaves. And then Gavin, proud Roscommon man, said I already paid for his ticket. But we'll see how it goes in the future. I do hope he stays. He's an absolute joy to watch. Mikey here saying Mayo needs to deploy a sweeper and go zonal. The backs are too lightweight to go man on man. It's a really, really interesting one because Mayo's attack looked fantastic. So you do look at that and go, you have to just let Kobe and those lads do their stuff, because once you give the ball to them, they can finish the job. And in the first half, they gave an absolute exhibition in terms of the 2-point kicking. And we had spoke a lot, Aaron, last year about one of Mayo's biggest weaknesses was the 2-point kicking. By God, they've sorted that out.
Absolutely, they have, yeah. And it's kind of, it's mad. Like Dublin were in the same situation last year in terms of Mayo, like not kicking 2-pointers, not really evolving with the new game. And you saw Mayo really take it on. I know Dublin scored 1 or 2. I think they scored 2 2-pointers yesterday. But even at that, the difference in terms of our season in comparison to Mayo was night and day. Like Mayo were kicking them for fun at the start of the first half and really making use of that breeze. And, they had to, because if they didn't, they probably would have lost the game, considering how well Monaghan were able to rein them in the second half. So, and speaking of Kobe as well, I do genuinely believe, and I know sometimes it can be overstated, but I think we are looking at a generational player here in terms of a player of the caliber of level of David Clifford and everything else. Not yet, I would say, but in terms of a couple of years, he would get to that level. He's gone to Australia. You can see why, because the leap on that goal, I mean, that's incredible to get that level of height for someone of his age as well and his build. The catch as well at the end of the game, you can see why he's been poached by Australia. And look, fair play to him. You wish him the best of luck. I'm not going to lie, as a Dublin fan, I'm quite relieved that he won't be with Mayo for the next couple of years, because
have you heard of David Clifford?
yeah. So maybe if you could take a few maybe with him as well. And look, I don't think there's any chance of the Dubs winning the All-Ireland anytime soon, but rivalries are still there, and I certainly don't want to see Mayo win one. In my opinion, but look, to be fair, like they are bringing through other good young players as well. Like Dara Byrne looks a very good player, Keane McHale as well. Jack Carney, who's been there for a couple of years now, like he was absolutely brilliant the last day as well. Like so, and as Ryan O'Donoghue said in his post-match interview, like they needed bigger players to step up. They had to kind of really show what they're all about, and they did that. But there is still absolutely vulnerabilities there. Like the defense fell apart in the second half. It was very, very worrying. I think if you were a Mayo supporter, Monaghan had so many goal chances up until Bobby McCall, and as Matthew said, like we all wish him the best and everything in terms of his injury. But Monaghan were creating chances and opportunities, and even at the end, like they get that 2-pointer. The ball, obviously, I don't think he's going for the 2-pointer there. Max Maguire ends up hitting it over the bar. You had the scenario as well with the points that should have been given. So like Monaghan absolutely could have got something in this game, and Mayo will take the win. But you would be looking at Mayo overall and thinking maybe in a similar way to Dublin going forward. They're looking good, but defence and midfield is looking quite shaky. And I do think Mayo do look quite beatable. I think going into that winners round, I think the likes of Donegal and everything else, even Louth, like if Louth got them in RD, I don't even know if they could play the game in RD, but if they did, you'd fancy Louth to do it.
Yeah. A couple of comments in here. Sean saying, I think a lot of the Mayo income stepped up yesterday. Livingston kept us in the game. Dara Byrne was an impact, and Hugh O'Loughlin was solid as well. And Jordan Kerrinson is delighted for Mayo to get the win. Lots to work on, and Mayo will win Sam in year 2 and 3 under Andy Moore. And Donegal and Armagh are the teams to win Sam Maguire now. So definitely things moving now more positively, especially after what was a disappointing Connacht Championship campaign, but now they've got this win over Monaghan, albeit there still is stuff to work on, but they're back in the win column, and that's what matters. Liam, I'll come to you then. Anything you'd like to add in on this game? And just before I do, actually, that shot was definitely over the bar from McCall. 100% over the bar. The minute I saw it, I couldn't believe it wasn't given.
Yeah, it's quite unfortunate from that perspective. But yeah, just one major thing. I do agree with what Aaron was saying there. I think Kobe is a generational player, to be honest with you. I think he's going to be a big miss for Gaelic games. I think Australia are getting a really, really good player for their game. And look, it's obviously a shame, but at the same time, can you blame the lad for going over? Like you could be making yourself a great career. And sure, you could prove yourself in, at the end of the day, 2 different sports. Like, it's unbelievable. But I think he's absolutely sensational. The outside, the boot kick for the 2-pointer was just, it's so satisfying to watch those types of points go over the bar. And for someone so young to be doing it as well, to have the confidence to do that is absolutely fantastic. For Mayo, it's a get out of jail win in a way, to be honest, considering how much they were in front. And for it to almost slip away from them, I think they can just be relieved to have just gotten out of there with the victory. But look, winning breeds confidence. They needed it after losing to Roscommon the last day, and especially in the fashion that they did as well. So look, it's plenty to build on. There's no doubt about it. They'll be a tough side for anybody in the next round. There's no doubt about it. I don't know who they'd want in the next round, I'll be honest with you, because every team, I think, in the winner's section is a decent side. But no, it's a great win for them. For Monaghan, look, disappointing, I suppose, to have lost out in the game. But if there's one thing you're guaranteed with Monaghan is they could be 10 points down, 15 points down, 20 points down with 10, 15 minutes to go. It doesn't matter. They're going to fight to the bitter end. And that's a great characteristic to have in any sort of team. I think Gary O'Bannigan is doing a fantastic job from that perspective. But they'll have to improve, like Matthew said. They can't be kicking that many wides the next day. I do agree with the goal. I think it was goal of the season. The kick passing was absolutely sensational, and the finish as well was just superb. But yeah, Monaghan, for them, they're going to have to improve the next day. They can't start as slowly in their next match as they have for the previous couple of games. And if they could do that, then they've got a great chance of beating anybody in the 2B section. But yeah, very enjoyable game to watch in the end. And great win for Mayo.
Absolutely. So it's time to move on now to our next game. This one took place, of course, on the Saturday. A lot of people had their eyes fixed on this to see how the newly crowned Leinster champions Westmeath would get on in their opening game of the All-Ireland Series against Cavan in Cusack Park in Mullingar. This one sold out really, really quickly as well. The Westmeath fans absolutely lapping it up right now, especially off the back of their Leinster win. Cusack Park was packed out for this one, and Westmeath got the job done after extra time against Cavan. It finished 131 to 321. A late goal from O'Sullivan put the game to bed eventually after a great turnover by John Heslin. For Westmeath, this is again another win after extra time, and they're getting very, very good at grinding these games out, Matthew.
Yeah, it was a brilliant win in fairness. Like I was watching this game in the background. I was watching the under 20 game in the foreground, but it was an incredible game, especially with Cavan coming back into it. You have to say Conor Casey, I know it was the losing side, but what a performance he put in after coming on as a sub in the second half. It was a sensational recovery from Westmeath, especially being down by so much at half time and extra time. I think they were down by 6 points, and then they grinded themselves back into the game. Ronan Wallace got a 2-pointer, Bradley Kelly got a few points, and then eventually they're back into it. And obviously Kevin O'Sullivan's goal made all the difference in the end in getting them over the line. And the amount of scores that Westmeath had in this game, I think it was 15 different scores, I think it was, in this one. And there was a time, I think Shane McEntee mentioned it to John Heslin and GA Plus doing an interview with him after the game, that in the past they would have probably relied on, let's say, John Heslin or Desi Dolan in the past. But you look at Westmeath's spread of scores now, it's absolutely brilliant. It's off the charts. Brandon Kelly, for example, is the top scorer from playing the championship at this present moment, ahead of the likes of Conor Turbett, who's had a sensational season for Armagh. But he's really risen to the ball this year. I think he's been absolutely incredible. Shane Corcoran as well, a corner forward, allowing space for the other forwards. John Heslin coming onto the pitch, Kevin O'Sullivan getting the goal. Sam McCartan is a good link player, obviously, there as well. Ronan Wallace is brilliant at centre back. Ray Kennellan's having a storming campaign in the middle of the park. Like, everybody in the Westmeath team is really, really standing up, and that is the positive from their perspective. And it is great to see, in fairness, from Westmeath's standpoint. And you look at, you have to say, with Cavan, a lot of people didn't expect a performance like this from them. So you have to give Cavan a lot of credit. Emmanuel Sheehu was very good at it. Paddy Lynch was very good at full forward as well. Darren McVitie, I know he wasn't fully fit, but when he came on, he was sensational as well. And if you have Conor Casey, like if Conor Casey starts the next game, the guy from Ghana, if he starts the next game, I think Cavan have a serious chance of upsetting the apple cart for anybody in round 2B. I know the preference would be to get Kildare in round 2B, but I think if Cavan get a home draw in Kingspan Breffley, they could beat anyone. They could beat anyone. They're sticky opposition, and yeah, a team to be feared without doubt in the next round. I think Peter mentioned earlier in the comments about Westmeath. This is the first time ever they've won 5 championship games, I think. So, like, that's a sensational stat in its own right as well. So yeah, it's a brilliant time to be a Westmeath fan, and like winning these games after extra time, the luck will have to run out at some stage. But while it's running on now, I think Westmeath won't be complaining. It's a brilliant run they're on at the moment.
So we have loads of comments in about this game. Well, see Peter saying, lads, they're looking very likely to make the semi-finals. Gaelic guy saying Westmeath are the real deal. Nobody can take them lightly. Kilkenny one saying only got to see highlights of this game, but this looked far more exciting than the Armagh versus Derry game. Sean says Cavan are dangerous though. Sheehu always impresses me when he plays, and the bench and McVitie and Conor Casey made a massive impact. Then of course there was the added element as well of Dermot McCabe and obviously Mark McHugh. McCabe managing Westmeath last season, obviously left to go manage his home county in Cavan. But this one was always going to be a tight game. And we did expect that Westmeath would get over the line, and they did, but Cavan absolutely made them sweat for it. Gavin says, so disappointed for Cavan. Great fight. Really disappointed by some of the Westmeath fans and how early they were heckling the Cavan players taking frees. I actually haven't seen much about that, to be honest. Sean saying, game of the weekend, this one. Thought Westmeath were dead and buried, but clearly the wind was very influential, particularly in extra time. It's just another game, though, that goes to show you that there's a lot of good teams right now. That Westmeath can win Leinster. Cavan, again, another very, very good side. So there's no easy game in the next round. But Westmeath got the win in this one. And with an eye on the clock, lads, we're going to move on now to the last game which took place in round 1. This was Armagh beating Derry by a goal and 18 points to a goal and 13. Armagh continuing their winning ways. And we have comments in here about it. Brian saying Armagh are definitely favourites for the All-Ireland, while Donegal are second favourites and Kerry third. And Patrick Cahill saying Armagh are looking hard to beat at the minute. Aaron, I'll come to you next. Armagh definitely looking good right now.
Yeah, they are. Like, I don't even think it was necessarily maybe their best performance. Like, they finished with a tally of 118, which is probably actually quite low scoring from an Armagh perspective. But they did enough in the game, and obviously with Armagh, a lot of their games can sometimes become a little bit chaotic and everything else. They dropped a big lead versus Monaghan. Their second half performance against Fermanagh, they blew a bit of a lead versus Tyrone as well. Like, a lot of their games have been a little bit crazy, probably other than the down victory. So I think the fact that Armagh were able to win the game quite comfortably in the end without that much of a fuss, I think will definitely stand to Armagh. Conor Turbo was very good with 4 points, but I think, to be honest though, it's the newer players that have really impressed me with Armagh. Like, Tomas McCormick looks a brilliant player. 2 points. He was instrumental in so much of what Armagh did. He was setting up scores. He was setting up plays. Darren McMullen as well looks a very, very good player. Joe McElroy, who's new to the panel, he was there last year, as far as I know. And that goal from Tiernan Kelly as well. Like, I like, some are saying, did he mean it? Did he not? I kind of think he did, to be honest, because like, to hit a shot with that amount of power, that close to goal, you don't hit a ball that fast, that quickly, you know what I mean, if you're not going for goal. Whether he meant to spin into the top corner like that, I'm not entirely sure, but he definitely did go for the goal. Very, very good goal. For Derry, I would agree with what Matthew said earlier as well. Like, I'm starting to look at this Derry team and think maybe they're not as good as what we would have thought a little bit earlier in the year. Look, when you actually look at it over the last 2 years, how many games have Derry won where it's been a tight game? Very, very few. I can think of the Tyrone one. They didn't win a game last year. They beat Cork very, very handily, fair enough. And look, that was a very impressive victory. But aside from that, I don't think there's been a lot of like very impressive moments for Derry. Like, they were beaten quite comfortably away to Louth. They never really looked like ever doing anything in this game. They blew a big lead versus Monaghan. And I don't really know, like with Derry, you always look at players like Brendan Rodgers and Conor Glass, but I don't think they've been performing to the levels, even Shane McGuigan as well. Like, Shane McGuigan scores a point in the game. Look, phenomenal footballers, and they've been unbelievable servants to Derry. And look, they'll probably still go on and have a brilliant championship and everything else. But I don't think we've seen the best from them this season, in my opinion. It does seem like it's some of the younger players like Paul Cassidy and Lachlan Murray who've been very good there. So it's interesting with Derry. At the same time, as a Dublin fan, I absolutely will not take playing Derry away from home. And even in Croke Park, I'll be worried. But in terms of like the All-Ireland or being a serious contender, I just don't really know if Derry have the players anymore, but also the mettle or the resolve to come through these games. Because it does feel like in a lot of these games, it does feel like the Derry of what we've seen in more recent seasons, as opposed to obviously when Gallagher was there.
Patrick Carl here saying, if you've ever seen Tiernan Kelly playing club football, you realise it was definitely a shot at goal. Shane says, I'm probably being biased, but I still put us ahead of Donegal. And after last weekend, people will say how, but my power rankings are at the moment 1 Armagh, 2 Kerry, and 3 Donegal. So yeah, it's time, lads. Let's take a look at let's take a look at what the matchups could be in the next round, round 3. So we have round 2A here, of course, as Matthew has the graphic here. Winner goes into the quarterfinals. Losers go into round 3. Cork, Donegal, Galway, Mayo, Louth, Tyrone, Westmeath and Armagh. And then we'll come to round B in a minute. But lads, Liam, I'll go to you first. What matchup do you want to see out of round 2A? And then take those off the table. And Matthew, I'll come to you next.
Oh, do you know what? I would love to see something like Westmeath versus Cork in Cúilín Park or something. Like, I think that would just be, sorry Matthew, I know from your perspective you'd rather it in Parky Rin, but I just would love to see, I love seeing Cúilín Park absolutely full on Saturday, to be honest with you. And there just seemed to have been a really good atmosphere, and especially with the way Mark McHugh celebrated as well. You could tell that it was personal for him and the Westmeath boys as well. I would just love to see Westmeath have another home game. Or do you know what? Westmeath Donegal could even be an absolute cracker as well. Like, I mean, I know Donegal arguably probably are the best side in the country at the moment, but it's sort of similar. I think it could be similar to going down to Parky Rim. We saw it with Donegal going down to Cork 2 years ago. Like, they struggled down there. Cork were brilliant, and the atmosphere that they had that day, the atmosphere they had against Meath in their 2 games so far this season, have been absolutely unbelievable. So I think either a Cork Donegal in Páirc Uí Rinn or Westmeath Donegal or something like that in Cuilín Park, I think would be absolute cracker. From 2B, sorry lads, everyone loves Kerry Dublin, don't they? So I would love to see Kerry Dublin, just for the fact that I think they, regardless of what Dublin shows up or what Kerry shows up, they're still going to beat the shit out of each other. So why not just let them do it? Have at it. I mean, Meath Dublin is obviously a great battle as well. I'm sure Kerry would love to get Meath as well after losing to them last year. Kerry Derry just for the distance, I think would be quite funny, to be honest with you. But yeah, no, there's some interesting matchups there. I would say Monaghan wouldn't mind getting. I think Monaghan, if they were to pick up a big victory this year, I think they'd probably want to get someone like Kildare. I'd imagine probably. Do you know Armagh Galway could be interesting as well, considering they met in an All-Ireland final 2 years ago. There's a lot of great games there, but yeah, from 2B anyways, Kerry Dublin is absolutely the one I want to see from a neutral perspective. Yeah. And from 2A, either Donegal going to either Páirc Uí Rinn or Donegal going to Cuilín Park.
I quite like Peter's suggestions, I have to say. Cork, Galway, Donegal, Mayo, Louth, Westmeath, Armagh, Tyrone. Like, I think maybe I'd swap Galway and Donegal, go Cork, Donegal, Galway, Mayo. I'd be interested in seeing Cork go up against Donegal again. Obviously, Matthew, you beat Donegal, was it last year or 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah. So I'd be interested to see how that matches up now. And then Peter also saying for 2B, Kerry Dubs, Kildare, Meath, Monaghan, Rossies, Derry, Cavan. Quite hard to argue with any of them. Obviously, Monaghan can't draw Cavan again. Yeah, maybe, I don't know. I think it'd be Roscommon. I'd say would be loving another crack at Dublin after the league game. But yeah, I'd say that pretty much most people, Gaelic guy here saying dream draw for me, Tyrone, Donegal, Armagh, Cork, Westmeath, Louth, Galway, Mayo, Monaghan, Derry, Meath, Dublin, Cavan, Kildare, and Roscommon, Kerry. Matthew, I'll come to you next. What's your dream draw?
From 2A, from a personal perspective, Cork against either Louth or Tyrone at home. Because Louth simply, I know Grace was brilliant to come on, but it's about time Louth come down to our Rockers atmosphere down in Páirc Uí Rinn rather than us going up to Hardy or in a scene. As for Tyrone, I've seen a lot of commentary online saying Tyrone should be higher in the power rankings or whatever. I just love to prove that we could beat Tyrone home and away this year, even coming down to Páirc Uí Rinn. From another perspective, actually, I'd love to see Louth against Westmeath, wherever that may be, because that would actually mean one of them goes to the All-Ireland quarterfinals. That would be mental if that happened. But we'll have to see. Donegal Armagh is another tasty one, to be fair, as well. So yeah, it should be very interesting to see that. Round 2B, for me, it's Dublin Meath. I think a rivalry there, reignited, knockout football. I think that would be sensational stuff, to be honest with you. Look at the others. I'd love to see Derry host Kerry in Celtic Park as well.
Okay.
So yeah, we should see, but Dublin Meath for me, I think in round 2B. I don't know, would that tickle your fancy, lads? But I think
the best bet in terms of a giant killing is if Roscommon get Kerry in the hide. I think that's the best chance of a giant going out. If Dublin go out in round 2B, unfortunately, I don't think it's really that much of a surprise. Like, we've lost 2 games on the bounce. I think if we get a hard draw here, I will be sweating if we get a hard draw here. But I think
Dublin could get drawn away to Meath in Croke Park. That'd be tough.
Given our current looking form there, man.
I forgot about that.
The Kerry Roscommon suggestion, Seamus. If that happens, if it's up at the hide even, I think Kerry could beat them handy, to be honest with you. I'm sorry. I think it could happen, yeah. I think the only way Kerry can go out of the championship, in my opinion, is if they go to Celtic Park and things go drastically wrong. Okay. Honestly, I think.
Very interesting. Well, we're going to switch off from this. Anyway, we've given our picks for what games you'd like to see in the next round, but it's time to switch over to the All-Ireland Under-20 Football Championship final. Kerry winning their first All-Ireland Under-20 or Under-21 title since 2008. They beat Tyrone 21 points to a goal and 10. Tomas Kennedy and Gerald White leading the way with 9 points between them. A fantastic day for the Kingdom. Matthew, I'll come to you here. 21 points to 110 it finished in Croke Park.
Yeah, and it was just the quality from Kerry's forwards and the quality all over the pitch that really got Kerry over the line. And the kickouts as well, like the start of the weekend, I would say. Tyrone had 27 kickouts in this game. Kerry won 18 of them. Tyrone only won 9 of their own kickouts. The dominance around the midfield from Evan Boyle and Daniel Kirby, from Kerry's point of view, was absolutely sensational. Daniel Kirby got the goal, obviously, in the semi-final against Roscommon, but in a different light, he was absolutely sensational in this game. I did earmark on the pod last week, Garrod White, 18 years of age, unbelievable centre forward, technically unbelievable. And like he put out a demonstration of 2.8 frees in this game. The guy's only 18 years of age as well. To do that in Croke Park in his first year in under 20, it's really, really good. And as well as that, he was in Croke Park a couple of months ago with his school Tralee CBS that lost the Hurling Cup final to CBS Mullingar from Westmeath. And that could have knocked him back. It could knocked a few of them Tralee CBS players back. But my God, they came back at the Croke Park and they produced an absolutely incredible display in this game. Owen O'Flaherty was very good from wing back, and Jack Joy coming on as well. Obviously as well, Ronan Carroll at corner forward. And this was a Kerry team that lost Paddy Lane, their top scorer, early on in the game through injury. So the battle through it and get the win in this game was absolutely brilliant from their perspective. Unfortunately, from a Tyrone point of view, they were way too over-reliant on Shane McDermott. Quality player. I think he definitely proved it in Croke Park. He got 1-6 from this game, 1-3 for play. Sensational goal to start things off. That was the first goal Kerry conceded in the under-20 grade this year. So, yeah, it was a brilliant goal by him, but Tyrone just had nothing else to offer other than them. And that was the bad fact from their point of view. But from a Kerry perspective as well, the closest any team has got to them, when you think about it, they beat Roscommon by 9 points. They beat Tyrone this game by a healthy enough margin. This as well. Cork drove them to a 3-point defeat and a 1-point victory. So like it's like Cork are closest to them in Munster. So the Cork team should deserve a lot of credit for that as well. But Kerry were by far the best under-20 team this year. The quality that they showed was absolutely sensational. I think Tomás O'Shea is well in line for the senior job from a Kerry perspective as well. Congrats to everybody involved. It was a sensational win for Kerry. And those players have bright futures ahead of them.
Absolutely, they do. Shane here saying, of course, proud Kerry man, saying we finally effing did it. Unbelievable performance. Evan Boyle and Daniel Kirby, fantastic in midfield. Garrod White, absolutely superb. Congrats to Tomás and the team. Daniel Kirby taking after his father. William Kirby, of course, All-Ireland winner in the 2000s with Kerry. A chip off the old block, as they say. Peter saying Tomás O'Shea next in the door after Jack O'Connor. Brendan saying Evan Boyle took this game by the scruff of the neck, and I'm so proud of him because he was talked about as someone who could be dropped after the semi-final. The catch and 2-pointer was the score of the game. Aaron, plenty to talk about here. What was interesting as well, Matthew touched on it. We were mentioning in the preview show that the one thing that Kerry absolutely had over Tyrone when it came to, the stats and everything coming in was a much more fairer spread of scorers across the team, and that's kind of shown when Tyrone only had 3 scorers in this game, and Shane McDermott scored 1-6 out of their 110.
Absolutely, yeah. Like they were very, very well rounded, Kerry. And to be fair, like you can see the work that Tomás O'Shea has done in terms of how they're playing as well, the structure of how they play, the way they work the ball as well. Like they don't look reliant on any individual player. Like as we said, look, Garrod White had a phenomenal game. Tomas Kennedy, we know his abilities, even from with the seniors as well. And to be fair to Tyrone, like they do play a similar like way as well, where they're not supposed to be as reliant on 1 or 2 players, but it's just maybe so kind of worked out that way on this particular occasion this season. But yeah, an incredible achievement for Kerry. I know the under-20 All-Ireland Football Championship has been the one that's evaded them a lot more so than the minor one and the senior one as well. So to be very, very happy to bring those players through. And look, I think from a Kerry perspective as well, we know that under-20 doesn't always translate to senior success, but Kerry are the perfect team where they don't have to rush these players. They don't have to bring them through straight away. They can bide their time. Not all these players are going to come through to the senior team. We know a few of them have already made an impact in Tomás Kennedy, but with some of the others, they can be ease their way into the league maybe next season. Some of them will still be playing with the 20s, obviously, as well for next year. And even with Tomás O'Shea as well. Look, I know a lot of people are saying if Jack O'Connor steps away, Tomás O'Shea should come in as manager. Like at the same time, I don't necessarily think there's a an immediate rush with that as well. There are still other brilliant managers out there like Eamon Fitzmaurice who could potentially come in. Kieran Donaghy might be in the mix as well. And to be honest, I think Jack O'Connor might stay on as well. I think that's also a very realistic possibility. But for Kerry, look, yeah, fair play to them. A lot of great players coming through. And yeah, you know, there's more players coming through, which from a neutral perspective and maybe as a Dublin fan, it's a little bit worrying.
Brendan here saying last under 20 All-Ireland for Kerry was 08 and 98 before that. This was needed massively. Shane here saying, I just hope there was nobody from Australia watching because Boyle, Kirby and Killian Dennehy could be getting calls if they were. And then Sean saying Clare really blew Galway out the water as well. We're going to come to that game in just a moment. Liam, your thoughts on this game before we move on to the hurling final? A sensational win for Kerry.
Yeah, it's a great win for Kerry, and I echo kind of what was mentioned there about Kerry just had more of a spread of scores, and that was my worry for Tyrone. Like I did say the other day, that if you'd have said to me after I did I remember doing the Cavan Tyrone game at the very start of the Under-20 Championship for Scorpio, and if you'd said to me after that night Tyrone would get to the All-Ireland final, I'd have just said absolutely not, just because I felt they were fairly reliant on Shane McDermott. But in fairness to them, great credit to them. They started like an absolute house on fire, and I was starting to think, Jesus, my prediction's gone fairly down the water, as it usually does anyway with this stuff. But no, Kerry fought back and they did really well. It's a great win for them, obviously. Obviously after losing the Christy Ring final, I'm sure they would have been absolutely delighted to have won at least something in Croke Park on Saturday. But yeah, fabulous win for them. Might see a couple of those players now kick on over the next couple of years. I know, obviously, from a rivalry perspective, you obviously would love to see some of these players go to Australia. But I think for me, if we could maintain a lot of these players over the next number of years, then, you know, it's only better for our game and we get to see these players truly reach their great potential in the sport. But yeah, fabulous win for them. I think it was a great idea as well to have the final in Croke Park as well. It gives the lads a day out to play on the biggest stage there, get them used to playing in a big arena. So yeah, congrats to Kerry, commiserations to Tyrone. But Tyrone still have a lot of really good players coming through, and they still won an Ulster title this year. You know, especially with the way that they started off the season, I think they can take a lot of credit from it. But yeah, fabulous win for Kerry. Congratulations to them. And I think we should all be a small bit worried that they won another 20 All-Ireland, considering they won an All-Ireland Senior last year.
Absolutely. So the factory line sure hasn't gone anywhere in Kerry. And Liam, I'm going to go straight back to you then for the Under-20 hurling final and go the other way around this time. So Clare 420, Galway 216 in Semple Stadium. Sensational victory for the Banner County. Goals from Jamie Moyle, Mark O'Cleary, and 2 from Thomas O'Connor. The Banner winning the All-Ireland Under-20 Hurling Championship over Galway in Thurles.
And deservedly so, to be honest with you. Clare were by far the better side, in my opinion. I was covering this game as well for Scorpio, and I have to say I was really impressed with Clare, to be honest with you. In particular, the likes of Fred Hegarty, I think at wing forward, had an absolute stormer of a game. Like some of the points that he got, his work rate was absolutely savage. Paul Rogers got some really good scores as well. Michael Collins getting 2 good points as well. And the 2 goals that were scored as well by O'Connor at full forward were really well taken. You do wonder from a Galway perspective, like I know, look, I don't know whether there was words being exchanged between the Under-20 management and the senior management, but like, Aaron Nyland played half an hour. He should have started the game at the end of the day. He's one of Galway's. He's arguably, along with Rabbit, Galway's best Under-20 hurler. Now, I will say Brian Callanan as well was really good. And Jack Shaughnessy as well was really good on the frees and got a couple of points for play as well. But, like, you know, when you have the likes of Aaron Nyland, you have to start him. And Jason Rabbit wasn't even down to start the game either up until it was obviously a late change and everything like that on the programme. But for me, like, if you have these players at your disposal, I know that they have a very important Leinster final next week, but you can't sit there and tell me that Galway won't be in another Leinster final between now and 20 years' time. Do you know what I mean? When these players will eventually hang up their boots. Whereas for the likes of Rabbit and Nyland now and all these kind of lads, that's an All-Ireland gone. Do you know what I mean? That's an Under-20 All-Ireland gone. That's core memories that you make, and winning breeds confidence as well. Winning an All-Ireland breeds a bit of confidence. Do you know what I mean? Like it did Tipperary no harm winning a minor All-Ireland in 22. I don't think it's done Cork any harm winning the Under-20 All-Ireland in 2023 and in previous years as well. It's absolutely done awfully no harm winning an All-Ireland in 2024. And this will do no harm for Clare going forward, in my opinion. So for me, I think that's a ball drop, to be honest with you. I thought Cullen Killeen as well had a very good game in the middle of the park as well. I thought he was a bit of an inspiration for them in the middle of the park at times, especially just when things weren't particularly going their way. Jamie Moylan had a very good game from wing back as well. So yeah, look, Galway got a goal late on to sort of make the scoring a bit more respectful, but at the end of the day, Clare were the far better side. They deserved to win it. And unfortunately for Galway, it's close but no cigar for them. But they still won a Leinster title. It's still been a great year for them. And there's no doubt in my mind that alongside the likes of Rabbit and Nyland, we'll see a good feud. And Cúilín, obviously, we'll see a good few of those Galway players in amongst the senior panel over the next couple of years to come.
Absolutely. Brendan here saying the 2 Nyland goals put a respectability on the scoreline. Look, there's just a part, funny comment here from Shane first. I know it's a long time ago now, but a certain former RT pundit told us that our production line was finished. We then went on to win 5 minors, 3 seniors, and now an under 20. It wouldn't be like Joe to come out with a mad statement, but we're gonna keep it going. Switching back to the under 20 hurling final. Personally, I agree with what you said, Liam. For me, it's just, it would bother me if I was them then in years to come that you're looking at this going, did Galway go into that game with their best team on the pitch? No, because Aaron Nyland didn't start. And did they get to give it their best shot? No, they didn't. And I'm not taking anything away from Clare. Clare were fantastic and worthy All-Ireland champions, not just for this, but for the Munster campaign that they had. And they haven't faced anybody this year that they haven't eventually beaten. I look at it and I'm like, it would really have irritated me if I was Nyland and Rabbit, seeing how this politics is after getting in the way of their All-Ireland final preparations are.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm kind of looking at it from a Dublin perspective. Obviously, playing those players next weekend in what's going to be a huge game for both counties in terms of the Leinster Championship. And obviously, look, with those players having a rest, it means that they might come into the game a little bit more prepared. But also, the psychological damage that could do to a player of that quality as well, and it could tore a bit of a divide between the players. Between some of the younger players and management and everything else. And if things do go wrong next weekend for Galway, there'll be a lot of questions asked about whether that was the right thing to do in terms of not having those players available and everything else. But look, I do agree. I didn't watch the game. I only seen brief highlights. But from what I've seen, Clare by far the better side anyway. So you take nothing away. I mean, it was a fairly comfortable enough victory from their perspective. And look, for Clare as well, because there were question marks, I remember a couple of years ago, about Clare's underage. There was people saying there wasn't a huge amount coming through. There was worrying signs. I remember there was articles about Clare potentially becoming a Joe McDonagh Cup team and everything else. This was in, I think, 2021 or 2020 or something like that. And look what they've been able to do. You see some players like Jeremy Stritch coming through as well. Mark Rogers in recent seasons. So Clare are doing very, very well in terms of bringing through younger players. And I think for such a proud hurling county, you can't dispute it. It is good to see. I know maybe Matthew isn't a big Clare fan, but look, I do think it's great for them to get over the line.
Absolutely. Well, Matthew, would you like to add on anything before you move to the Christy Ring final?
No, it was just we mentioned the battling qualities from Clare during the week, and they didn't have to show it in this game because they were so comfortable, and it was just a really, really good display from them, especially with Thomas O'Connor getting the goals, and the Jamie Moylan goal just before half-time kind of sealed the wrapping it, to be fair. It was just, I was actually delighted, contrary to your opinion, I was actually delighted to see Clare win the under-20 this year. The players that they do have are sensational. They definitely have a brilliant future ahead of them. Obviously, going back to the time that they last won the under-20 or under-21 championship, Tony Kelly, Shane O'Donnell, Keane Galvin, all them would have been on that team, and they were absolutely brilliant that season. And they brought that form into this under-20 team as well. And the scenes with Martin in the dressing room were absolutely brilliant from a Clare perspective as well. And obviously, it was just a great ending to an under-20 campaign for the likes of Ronan Kilroy, obviously, who did lose his mother during the season as well. So look, it was just brilliant for Clare to get over the line, and what a display to end their season on a high. And it might push the Clare seniors onto good things in the All-Ireland quarterfinals too. So we'll have to see how Clare progress in that competition, and see if this under-20 win has spurred them on a bit.
Absolutely, so it'll be very, very interesting to see if, for example, like Beast here saying, lads, it's time for this under-20 crop to come in for Clare, hanging on with the 13 squad for far too long. Sean saying, super pod, lads. Thanks a minute, Sean. Thanks for being with us again. We're going to crack on now to the Christy Ring Cup final, but just my final point about the Clare team is it'll be very, very interesting to see, as Kev Moore says here, future bright for Clare hurling. Have to question not starting Ireland by Galway. And that was just politics, Kev, but the Clare side of things, I'm saying it would be very, very interesting to see just how much emphasis Brian Lohan puts on getting those lads into the senior team this season, because yes, Clare did get out of the Munster Championship, but they were poor against Cork and Limerick. So it'll be interesting to see if some of those lads start to get a run out for the senior side. But it's time to move on, and we're going to move now to the Christy Ring Cup final. And this was a sensational win for Derry. Derry 3-24, Kerry 3-19 in Croke Park. A sensational Christy Ring Cup final win for Derry. 3-6 between Shea Cassidy and Conor Malloch was the key contribution for Derry. They were underdogs in this game. Kerry not only have been absolute staples in the John McDonagh, but consistently they've got to finals. So when they were in the Christy Ring Cup right from the start, Kerry were many people's pick to go straight back up to the John McDonagh, but Derry have beaten them in the final in Croke Park. Sensational stuff, and they're up to the John McDonagh for next season as champions of the Christy Ring. Matthew, sensational win.
Yeah, really good win from a Derry point of view. And I think that's their first ever Christy Ring Cup win. They got lucky this time. They lost 4 of the last 5 finals before this game. And to win it finally, it was sensational from a Derry perspective. And obviously, I am delighted for Derry because Sars did play Slotneil a couple of seasons ago. And I did see the quality that it is in Derry hurling. The likes of Cormac O'Doherty, who took the freeze in this game, for example, and Shea Cassidy, who got 1-4, were on that Slotneil team. And they do have some serious quality players. Like Conor Coyle was on that as well. Rory O'Mean, for example, an absolutely brilliant hurler, but obviously he's with the footballers at the moment. Shane McGuigan, very good hurler. Like these sorts of players that would normally, Brendan Rodgers, of course, that switch to footballers. And obviously so, because Derry is normally a football county and they've won Ulster Championships and they are one of the best teams in the All-Ireland series at the moment. But this hurling win from Derry point of view will rise the county in many ways. And I'm absolutely delighted for them to go to the Joe McDonagh. And a lot of people are talking about maybe a mini Ulster hurling championship next year. If Antrim, Derry and Down all in the Joe McDonagh Cup next season. So that's brilliant to see for Ulster hurling and the development in that. And I remember Donald Cusack said 10 years ago that there should be a team Ulster. Well, there is individual counties that are really staking a claim. So there probably is a need for a team Ulster at the moment. So it's brilliant for Derry. And a brilliant win over Kerry, who, to be honest, other than maybe the last 10 minutes of this game, they didn't get going in it. Podge Boyle got 110, sensational performance as usual from him. But Kerry, as favourites, just didn't get going. And I think that will sting a lot in the off-season for them. Because when you look at it, I know we'll get on to Nickey Rackard or the sick, but the train that New York are coming on at the moment, that would seem like a missed opportunity for Kerry in many ways to go straight back up to the Joe McDonagh and to stake a claim in that. And they got to the Division 2 final against Louth, got comfortably beaten that. So to lose 2 finals in the same season, that will hurt from their point of view. And there's a lot of thinking to do in the off season from their perspective. Oshie Mansell got 2 goals late on. To be fair, he has been missing for the most of the Christy Ring campaign due to injury, but him coming back, if he's more match fit in the next few years, hopefully he can get more game time from a Kerry point of view. But brilliant win for Derry, absolutely brilliant. And finally, they got the look that they absolutely deserved through their club exploits and as well through how well they've been doing in the Christy Ring without winning it over the last few years.
Absolutely. Brendan here saying we spoke about Evan in terms of under-20 football, and his uncle Podge Boyle deserves serious credit for an amazing Christy Ring campaign. He ended with 7 goals and 40 points at 33 years of age. Remarkable stuff there. We're going to move on then to the Nickey Rackard Cup final. Aaron, I'm going to come to you for this one. New York once again winning silverware in Croke Park now in back-to-back seasons. Last year it was the Lory Meagher Cup. They beat Cavan in the final that time. They've gone up to the Nickey Rackard Cup and they've beaten Tyrone in the final. They win by 2 goals and 22 points to Tyrone's 2 goals and 17 points. Now, this one is a little bit different. Not for 1 second am I trying to look at this and only look at the negative, but it is impossible to ignore the difference in tone around this year compared to last year. When they won it last year, they came out of the blue. Nobody saw coming that New York would win, the hurling competition that year than the Lory Meagher. But this year felt different because when you saw the players in there like Cian Barron, like Thomas Douglas, like AJ Willis and Cian Barron as well, for what it's worth, scored a goal each in this game. Johnny Glynn as well, a full forward. You knew that they'd be serious contenders, and the fact that they're getting parachuted in at the semi-final stage, a lot of people weren't happy with it from the start. They've won the competition again. How do you see this?
Yeah, look, I think the first thing to say for New York hurling, it's brilliant for them. It's brilliant for them to be involved in the championship. It's brilliant for them to playing Croke Park and get their days and everything else. And look, in terms of the game itself, I think they were the better side. The first half was a little bit even. Killian McNamara, the goalkeeper, made some big saves in the first half when Tyrone looked like they were going to be the more dominant side. The goal from AJ Willis in the first half was a big turning point as well. It pushed New York into a 4-point lead going into the second half. But from there, really, New York took over, and Tyrone had their moments definitely where they made this a little bit nervy and a bit. Tyrone kind of had a late rally towards the end of the game, obviously with the penalty from Mickey Little towards the end. But overall, I think from a New York perspective, they were the better side. There's no getting away from it. But yeah, look, there is a massive elephant in the room with New York hurling. Like, what do you do now? They're going into the Christy Ring Cup. Like, it definitely doesn't seem fair that they get parachuted into the tournament when Tyrone have been slogging all year long, and then New York just get dropped into it. There is that problem of, well, the GA obviously doesn't want to pay for New York to be flying over all the time to be playing games throughout the league and throughout the championship.
That bill will add up fast. That bill will add up quick.
And I understand it's probably not ideal necessarily maybe for the players as well, for the players to be traveling over. Like, maybe if you could split it some way where they played some games in New York and some games away from New York. There doesn't really seem like there's a solution here. I've seen some people say, do you just put them into the All-Ireland Senior Championship and let them play a preliminary round game against someone? But then what happens if they win? Like, what happens there? So there's I don't know. Like, it's a very awkward situation that I think the GA are finding themselves in. And I think they might do the same again for the Christy Ring next season. But I don't know, if they win the Christy Ring, let's say, and then they win the Joe McDonagh, what do you do then with the All Ireland? Like, do they just get parachuted into the quarterfinals, or like, do you know what I mean? It's a very awkward situation, I think, that they found themselves in. It's great for New York to be involved, and you don't want to take anything away from them. It's great for the players, and I hope they continue to have success, and the growth continues in New York, but. I don't know what the solution is here, lads. I'd love to know your opinions on it.
I'd keep it as it is for now. I'd let them go about the Christy Ring in the same way. I don't think they win the Christy Ring, though. I think this is where the train comes to an end, in my opinion. But they won this by 5 points. How much
they could get better. They could get more players. Do you know what I mean? More players could come on board.
Transfer
window.
window.
Get someone like Kerry. Yeah. If they get who got relegated again from the John McDonagh, if they get Kerry, or if they get London,
New York, that'll be
London, New York in the Christy Ring final will be mental. But like, I think they have to be better. They have to get significantly better, in my opinion, over the course of this year to win the Christy Ring. And there's always the possibility. I'm sorry, with players getting parachuted in, there's always the possibility that next year their team is nowhere near as good as the one that they have this year. Players could go and stuff like that. Johnny Glynn could just drop it, like, etc., etc.
Yeah, but the thing is, I think that's a bit. I don't know, it's a bit disrespectful to Tyrone champs. They won every game in the Nickey Rackard, so it's still going to be a difficult game for New York. Still
Absolutely.
A very, very difficult game in the final. As Aaron said, it's there's probably no right or wrong solution to this, and there isn't a clear-cut solution on what you do in this sort of situation. You probably still have to keep it as it is for now, but then when you think of the later repercussions and you look at it, you think if they win the Christy Ring, which I think is really, really possible next year, because Kerry, as good as Pod Ball was this year, scoring 7 goals and 40 points, the frank reality is the guy's 33 now. Like, if Kerry are going to keep relying on him, that's not going to be good for their development in hurling. London lost every game in the Joe McDonagh as well, so you'd imagine they'll be going down with a bit of degraded confidence into the Christy Ring. And you look at the other teams in the Christy Ring, Donegal, Wicklow, are they capable of beating this New York juggernaut? I'm not sure. I think this could continue for a number of years. Like, the way players are parachuting in, and it's not just Johnny Glynn, it's not just Thomas Douglas. The likes of, even from my own county, Sean O'Leary Hayes would have been on the Cork panel and a staple in the Middleton panel over the last few years, and he's playing wing back for them. He probably isn't one of their best players. Like, Johnny Glynn probably isn't one of their best players. Like, AJ Willis and David Mangan probably do most of the scoring. So there is brilliant players all over the pitch from a New York perspective. So, yeah, I'll keep it as it is for now, but it's a very, very difficult solution for the GA. Like, there could
I think if they do it again, then we need to talk. I think if they do it again in the Christy Ring, if they win the Christy Ring, then they're only one competition away from being in the All-Ireland Championship, so then it needs to be spoken about. But yeah, it's time then to move on, though, but just with one eye on the clock. Liam, I haven't come to you yet, I don't think, about one of the Nickey Rackard, Lory Meagher, etc. So I'll come to you for the Lory Meagher Cup final. Longford beating Leitrim, of course. This was yesterday in Croke Park. 1-5 coming from the midfield between Ruben Murray and Paddy Lyne, and Ruben Murray getting the goal, while Matthew O'Donoghue and Martin Farrell both scored 4 points each. They were the key scorers for Longford as they pick up silverware against Leitrim in the Lory Meagher final. Matthew,
Yeah, fabulous.
On as well.
Yeah, fabulous win for Longford. Obviously, a devastating one from a Leitrim perspective, even despite the fact you had Colin Canning getting 5 points as well from full forward, and Paul Mulligan getting up 2 points, and Philip Burgess getting 2 points as well. It's an unfortunate one for them, but for Longford, look, fabulous win for them. For me, Leitrim were the best side in the Lory Meagher, obviously, judging by the fact that they won 5 out of 5. But at the same time, when it comes to a final, it's a very, very different ball game altogether. And Longford, they were just hungrier to win it on the day. It's a fabulous victory for them, and for them now to be heading up to the Nickey Rackard next year now is obviously fantastic. It's look, congratulations to them, an absolutely magnificent victory. Like you mentioned there, when your midfield is scoring 1-5, it's you're going a very, very long way. A lot of the time, especially in Croke Park with the size of it, winning your midfield battle is absolutely key. And Longford did that yesterday, and to reduce Leitrim to only 1-13 is really, really impressive as well. So congratulations to Longford, absolutely fantastic victory for Diarmuid Cahill and his management team. And looking forward, and it's good to see. Look, it was great to see these two teams in the final anyway. They were the two best sides in the Lory Meagher this year by a good distance, let's be honest about it. Look, Leitrim will definitely be fancy their chances, there's no doubt about it, to get back here next year and win it. But for Longford, fantastic victory, and they'll totally enjoy being in Nickey Rackard next year.
Absolutely. So congratulations to all teams on winning their competitions. Congratulations to Derry on their Christy Ring Cup win. Congratulations to New York on, of course, their Nickey Rackard Cup win. And congratulations to Longford on their Lory Meagher Cup win. It's time now to talk camogie. And the first game I'm talking about here is Limerick beating Offaly 3-13 to 1-14. This one taking place in TUS. There is no doubt who the key scorer was. Donna Kenny for Limerick hitting a goal, and 10. Lizanne Boylan scoring a goal and the other goal. Laura Southern and Liz Boylan both hitting the back of the net as well. And Donna Kenny with a goal and 10 for Limerick in a very, very impressive win over Offaly. A good way to bounce back after defeat to Kilkenny in round 1. Limerick are on the board. Matthew, I'll come to you.
Yeah, really good win from a Limerick perspective, but at the same time, he relied on a lot of key players there. Laura Southern has been a brilliant player for Limerick down through the years, getting 1-2, and Donna Kenny 1-10. That's 2-12 out of them two players, so only 1-1 came without them, which might be a concern going forward from Limerick, but yeah, it's a win. A win's a win. It's a brilliant win to get the back up at the board after a difficult defeat to take against Kilkenny. As for Offaly, like Claude Lahey got 1-6 as well, so I think there's still some positives to take from an Offaly perspective as well. They beat Wexford the first day out, so all is not lost for them to finish in the top 2. So yeah, I think it's still a good performance for Offaly. They need another win probably, or need another win or two to get into the top 2. But from Limerick's perspective, it was a good win for them to get their season on track.
Absolutely. So the next game then, Aaron, Dublin unfortunately falling short to Kilkenny. This one was in Parnell Park. I was wary due to how strong Kilkenny had started the championship. Kilkenny, obviously the first day out, beating Limerick. Now they've gone to Parnell Park and beaten Dublin. Sarah Barco hitting the back of the net twice. The Cats make it 2 from 2.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I'm coming into this game, you were thinking, right, in Parnell Park, we beat Kilkenny a couple of years ago. You're thinking, could we do something? But it would be very unlikely, given how well Kilkenny have looked at times this year. And yeah, we started well with Aisling Marr scoring a brilliant opening point, but Kilkenny really took charge after that. They were 9 points to 2 up after 23 minutes. And really after that, we were playing catch up. We got a couple of scores before half time to kind of settle us down, but it looked like every time we were pushing on the door and we were knocking on the door, there would be a killer blow. And obviously when Sarah Barco gets that goal on the 46th minute, that's absolutely huge. From a Kilkenny perspective, they probably didn't need the second goal from Barco at the end of the game, really, because the game was pretty much done at that point. So that was the icing on the cherry. But yeah, very impressive from a Kilkenny perspective. We've said previously that Kilkenny have there's been players that have left the panel and everything else in recent seasons. But in terms of some of the players that have come back, or some of the newer players that are there, I think the future looks bright for Kilkenny.
Future looks very bright. Liam, I'll come to you just quickly on this point. Future looks very, very bright for Kilkenny in terms of, you mentioned as well, it's been talked about the players that they lost. It's been talked about enough. But they've moved now. They've pivoted to this new team led by the likes of Sarah Barco, Ashley McCarty, Aoife Prendergast. They are definitely moving in the right direction. How fast do you think they're moving in that right direction? Like, could we see them compete for an All-Ireland this year?
Absolutely. I suppose after not winning the Leinster title this year, which I absolutely did not expect in the slightest, just given how dominant they were in Leinster, especially last year, and how close they got to knocking out. In my opinion, they should have knocked Tipperary out in the quarterfinal last year, watching it in Croke Park. They are a very, very good side. Like you mentioned there, they have a lot of really good players in their team, and they're moving on very fast. I think it's probably something that maybe even the men's senior team could probably take a lesson from, to be honest with you, in terms of trying to integrate a lot of new players in and try and move on with the time. But yeah, it's a fabulous win for Kilkenny. To go away to Dublin and win by 10 points is really, really impressive going, considering this is a Dublin team that, narrowly lost out in a Leinster final at the end of the day. So yeah, fabulous win for them. Like you mentioned there, I mean, Aoife Prendergast for me is just an absolutely fabulous player. She's one of the best in the country, and she's only gone from strength to strength. Sarah Barco as well. Ashley McCarty as well. Like, these are some top class players, and obviously, Lauren Murphy only scored 1 point in this game as well. That kind of shows you how much spread there is in terms of the scores in this team. Like, every player from 8 up to 15 got scores. That kind of tells you everything you need to know about them. They're gelling really well together as a group at the moment. But look, I wouldn't look at it from too much of a bad perspective from Dublin. This is a very good Kilkenny team. They've put up 2 huge wins so far, and look, Offaly are going to find it hard against them this weekend. There's no doubt about it, being away from home and everything like that. But Kilkenny are moving in the right direction, and in terms of can they compete for an All-Ireland this year, absolutely they can.
I'll go back to you then, Matthew, for this game. Wexford against Clare. Matthew has just dropped out of the call. That is unbelievable.
He's gone to watch Sean.
As soon as I said his name, he didn't want it. So, Liam, I'll go back to you. Clare beating Wexford by 3 goals and 9 points to a goal and 11 in Wexford Park. Very, very impressive win for the Bannock County. They started off, of course, beating the Dubs in round 1, but that was down in Ennis. This one is away on Wexford Park. Roisin Begley hitting the back of the net twice. Lorna McNamara getting on the score sheet as well. The other goal for Clare then came off the bench. Maeve Millay hitting the back of the net there. For Clare, they also go 2 from 2.
Yeah, great win for Clare, honestly, away from home. I'm glad at least this week that I didn't take Wexford till the 40th minute to get a score from play like it did against us. I'm really glad that they didn't have to rely on that anyway. But yeah, really impressive win for Clare to go away from home against the Leinster champions. Disappointed from Wexford. They haven't really kicked on since winning that Leinster title, which they might be a small bit disappointed with. But despite the fact that you have Cueva Byrne, who was really good against us, getting 3 points from full forward. And you had Chloe Cash, who got a goal and 5 points in this game. And I think she only got 2 from frees as well. So that kind of tells you the impact that she had on the game as well. But as for Clare, yeah, fabulous victory. Clare are a team that are very much on the up at the moment. They're definitely going to be challenging for Munster titles over the next couple of years. I think maybe winning an All-Ireland is just slightly out of their depth just right now at this current moment in time. I think as they start to build over the next couple of years, they're going to be a team that are going to really, really challenge. But yeah, fabulous victory for them to go away from home to a very difficult place in Wexford Park and to pick up I'm trying to think, do the maths in my head, 4-point victory is really, really impressive going. Yeah, I did ordinary level maths in secondary school, so that tells you everything you need to know. But no, really, really impressive victory for Clare.
Absolutely. And then moving on then to our final code, the Intermediate and Junior LGFA Championships kicked off this weekend, giving you a recap of the action. In Group 1, Round 1 of the Intermediate Championship, Roscommon and Cavan went head-to-head, and Cavan got the win by 16 points to 2 goals and 7 points. In Group 2's Round 1, Westmeath beat Monaghan by 3 goals and 9 points to 4 points. A very, very impressive win for Westmeath there. Clare had another very impressive win in Group 3's Round 1. They beat Wexford by 4 goals and 12 points to 2 goals and 12 points. While in Group 4's Round 1, Leitrim beat Wicklow by 2 goals and 16 points to a goal and 5. Big shout out as well. I seen as well Leitrim LGFA doing some content with Michael Deedy, of course. We've all met Michael before. Some really, really good content there coming out of the channel. The All-Ireland Junior LGFA Championship also kicked off this weekend. Group A and Group B both had their round 1s. In Group A, Longford hammered Kilkenny 5-21 to 1 point to kick off their campaign. while Antrim also got a very impressive win over Offaly, 4-15 to a goal and 9. And in Group B's round 1, Carlow beat Limerick by 3 goals and 12 points to Sligo's 6-20 to 3-point win over London. Very, very impressive wins there to kick off the championship for all respective counties involved. And that brings our weekend review show to an end. Matthew's gone for an early shower, so myself, Liam and Aaron will close out the show. Peter saying, lads and Grace, super review and chat. Thanks a mil. Have a good week and catch you on Thursday at 8 p.m. for the preview. We certainly will catch you, Matthew. You've jumped back in perfect time to catch the send-off. But yeah, we're going to leave the weekend review show here. Big shout out to Grace Cullen for jumping on once again for the episode. Check her socials out and give her a follow. Big shout out as well to ATAC Sports, our championship coverage partners for 2026. As Peter said, we'll be back on Thursday with our usual schedule. Back again at 8 p.m. for another weekend preview show. And we will chat to you all again. Thank you very much for joining us. Until the next one, guys. Torah.
Instinct.